If you love journaling and self-discovery, these 5 profound journaling prompts are going to take you deep into feeling what's happening for yourself in your life in this very moment, and that will lead to a sense of understanding and inner peace. I'm Michelle Baker, creatrix of Art as a Soul Language. I help creative women use art to receive messages from their soul, guiding them towards purpose and fulfillment later in life. Make sure you've got a pen and a piece of paper so you can jot these down. And I intend them to go in this particular order. So the first one that you ask yourself and then journal about is, what feels expansive to me right now in my life? So you'll notice that this is a feeling-oriented question. You want to feel into expansiveness and then see, what is it that's happening in my life that resonates on that level of expansive and open. And it's always important in journaling to take your time and slow down and really feel into your answers. So if you come up with 1 or 2 things immediately, see what happens when you pause a little bit longer. Challenge yourself to list out all of the things that feel expansive. And if you want to go deeper, why? Why are they feeling expansive? What about them is expansive for me in this moment? The second journaling prompt is, what feels contractive right now in my life? So now we're working with opposites, but we're still coming from the feeling realm. First, it was what feels expansive. Now feel into contractive. What does that feel like when I feel smushed in and a little bit trapped, a little confined? So get that sense in your body of that emotional feeling and then see, what does that bring up in my life? Maybe it reminds me of a relationship. Maybe it reminds me of my work. And again, get specific. What about work? What particular parts, what aspects, what tasks or behaviors really make me feel contractive in my life and in my body right now in this moment as I think about them? Same thing. Come up with a list of a couple, but then see what happens when you sit in it a little bit longer, giving yourself a chance to deepen and maybe pull out some that are kind of in the periphery, but worthwhile to bring into your journaling. And again, you can expand more. What is it that's contractive about this for me? What's the worst part about this for me? And you can elaborate on that further. Journaling prompt number 3, we're kind of going down into a deeper place. That's why I would do these in this particular order. So number 3, what do I have fear around? Same thing. You can start with the feeling, the emotion of fear. Call that into your body and then see what it links up with in terms of your life, your relationships, your work. Notice what it evokes in you and list those out. What is it that I have fear around? And you can elaborate further on this. What is the fear? You can name it as clearly as possible, which is actually very helpful because the mind likes to be afraid of things and not know about them. Kind of like the fear that there's a monster under the bed, but you don't want to look. And then when you look and you see that it's actually like socks and shoes and whatever, you really can, feel a lot more safe. Similarly, when we force the mind to see what we're afraid of and to name it, it actually makes it smaller and more manageable. So that right there alone can be incredibly helpful. Then number 4, my 4th journaling prompt is very helpful. How can I rewrite my fear narrative to be more trusting? The fear narrative is the story that I tell myself. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid that this is going to happen. I'm afraid that this is this is why it's going to happen. And I'm afraid that it's going to mean this. So that is really a narrative. It's what your mind has told the story about, and it's not necessarily true. And whenever we are feeling fearful, we're in a contracted place of scarcity. And so we can shift or oscillate into a place of trusting. This really then is a connection to whatever your spiritual beliefs are, because that's the type of trusting that I'm talking about. If I want to go from being fearful and contracted, then the surest way to get there is by trusting the divine in some form, whatever that looks like for you. So, how can I rewrite my fear narrative to be more trusting? If I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my job, but then I oscillate into trusting, I might come to, well, even if I lost my job, I could get another one. And I really have always been okay. And I trust that everything is actually arising for my benefit. So notice how we can tell two completely different stories based upon whether we're in fear or we're in trusting. So then you're going to go back to any of the narratives that you wrote down in prompt number 3 about what you were feeling fear around and rewrite each of them. And this is super challenging sometimes. So you can also ask for support from somebody that's safe and wise in your life. Like, oh, I really want to have a different, narrative around this, but I'm not quite sure. What would you do? So you don't even have to do this alone. And the fifth deep, profound prompt that you can use if you choose to accept it is, if I zoom all the way out to seeing my entire life from birth to death, what matters most in this moment? So just imagine that even right now as we sit here, zoom all the way out and be like, okay, I got to remember, like, there's a whole lot of life here. I've been around for a long time. I've got this much more to go. What really matters? And allow that perspective to come in, and then name what you notice from that zoomed out, higher up perspective about yourself and your life right now in this moment. If you don't know this about me yet, I love to go deep. I love to take people to the deepest places for their own self-discovery and healing. So these prompts might be too much for some of you, but for those of you that are seekers like me, you're going to love this. So I also have other free prompts on this YouTube channel and art exercises that can also help you with your own self-discovery. They're right here on this YouTube channel. So go check them out after this video. And if you found this helpful, please give it a like or leave a comment, because that really helps it reach more and more people. So I appreciate you doing that.